Hi everyone, this is Mr Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. This is for a patient who attended with a fully blocked right ear and they were finding it very hard to hear, but also they were experiencing severe earache, ear pain, what we call otalgia. And they booked in and you can see here the wax is really impacted. It's just very soft, almost soggy consistency. It's very hard to vacuum this type of wax. They've also got a very narrow ear canal, and this wax is extending right from the entrance all the way to the eardrum, so approximately 3 centimeters, if you like. So it's quite a severe blockage, and almost immediately I put some olive oil spray in here just to see if I can change the consistency. And we had to use the drops in several phases and layers because we put the drops in initially, it softens the outer layer, changes the consistency, so it makes it easier for me to vacuum. Once we've cleared that layer, then you can see again here the wax has become a bit clay-like again. So it was you can see I've put some more oil in again, and it's just layer by layer. Now, I've developed a new technique with the drops, and what I used to do when I was using drops during a procedure, I used to instill the drops, ask the patient to tilt the head to the side so the ear that's got the drops in is facing the ceiling, and that will allow the drops to enter and penetrate and soften the wax. And I'd leave it there for a few minutes, and then afterwards I'll get the patient to tilt the head back the opposite way so we can drain the excess oil. But what I'm doing more and more now, I'm actually performing the procedure whilst the drops is in situ, so whilst it's in the ear. So in this instance, the patient's, this is the right ear, their head was tilted over towards their left shoulder, meaning the left ear was facing the not quite the ground, but towards the ground, and their right ear was elevated toward the ceiling. Instilled the olive oil spray and really filled it up. And whilst it was in the ear, I was standing up and I was looking down into the patient's ear, suctioning whilst the drops was in the ear. And I just find that it's a lot more effective actually, but it can be a bit more difficult to perform because when you're suctioning olive oil, obviously that's going up the sucker and it can blur the view because the light won't travel through the oil as well as it does air. So it almost refracts the light, so you can get a bit of blurriness, but the more and more I've been doing it, the more I'm able to do that confidently. So we're probably halfway into the ear now, and so you can just see this wax off the back part of the ear canal, just taking it off the back canal, just mobilizing it. Now this final plug of wax is really lodged in the isthmus, and you can see the consistency of the wax again there. It's just causing the sucker to imprint itself. It's not, I'm going to put some more oil into, again, another layer of drops. Actually, I'm using spray here, olive oil spray. And again, you can see the oil's in the ear, and I'm suctioning at the same time. So we're just going to be careful because it can get slightly blurry, as I said, but you can see you got a good view there now. But then you've got some excess oil, so you're going to just be careful. And it's strange, the rationale behind the technique, I was watching some ear surgery being performed. As an ENT consultant surgeon in Australia, and I think they were performing a mastoidectomy, so they were removing a cholesteatoma that had formed in the middle ear. And they put, I forgot the exact type of solution, but they performed the surgery endoscopically, but they did it whilst the ear was soaked in the solution, so it was like almost underwater. It wasn't water, but it had that same effect. And the surgeon, you adopted that technique because they said because when you got a cholesteatoma, this dead skin, it's very hard to clear sometimes because of the consistency. So it not only helped to do that, but it reduces. In the case of surgery, it won't be so much so for myself removing earwax, but it reduces recovery time and inflammation, and they do it quite regularly. So something that by watching someone else's channel, I thought, well, let's try that with the ear and using it when we use olive oil, and it really does help. So this last piece, it's really large, so I'm just trying to lift it up, tug it away. Now on the bony part of the ear, so you've got to be careful. The patient's ear is quite painful already. So I'm going to go to the roof and I think I'm going to bring it down there. And the reason why it's large is they've got a very narrow isthmus. Now, an isthmus is a narrowing of the ear, but they've got a particularly narrow isthmus. It's where half a centimetre approximately away from the eardrum, the ear canal narrows and it widens again. So it creates an alcove, so a recess called the anterior recess, to the front part of the ear canal near the eardrum. So in the case of the right ear, that's on the right hand side, and also an inferior recess. And I've been using these phrases a lot, so if you've been following my channel, you probably know what these phrases, these definitions are now, these descriptors are. You can see we're just squeezing this through. I've got a really narrow ear as well. I've got a big ball of wax there. So we go into the ear, so you can see the ear narrows and it widens again. You've got some residual wax there, just inferiorly at the bottom. So now the eardrum's slightly red, and that's because this plug was extremely lodged. So, but that's fine. It'll settle now. The pressure's off the eardrum. Just using a fine end sucker just to remove that last piece. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys, and you're all taking care and keeping well. And remember, be nice and be kind. Thank you. Bye.